Hello there. I want to welcome you. We are back for another YouTube Live here on Wednesday, November the 5th. And if you're joining us, I am delighted to have you with us. There we go. All right. I wanted to just make sure that I had the audio off there. Welcome, welcome. We are delighted to have you here. We have a special session that we're doing here for you today. And the session that we're doing is based on an understanding that I feel is extremely valuable for you. Like if we think about the process of manifesting and you being this incredible being that you are and this incredible creative being that you are, and I'm assuming that you know that and that you recognize that I am on an absolute mission to show people how to be better aligned with their results in order for them to manifest with greater ease. Now, tell me if that's something that you would love. Just type in the chat box. Yes, I'm absolutely on board with that. Definitely, Peggy. This is something that I have been longing for, striving for, whatever. Just let me know if that's something that you would love to be able to manifest with greater ease and perhaps even accelerate the process as well. So, if that is something that you would love, then definitely listen up because this particular session I chose to deliver where I'm going to provide a greater and a deeper understanding of what's really involved in manifesting and in creating the reality that you desire, regardless, and listen to this, regardless of whatever is in your life now. It doesn't matter what your present situation is. It doesn't matter what you're currently experiencing or have or don't have. It simply doesn't matter because you, being the creative being that you are, you can manifest like that. And I want to talk about this from a perspective of other teachers as well, to give you a greater sense of enlightenment and a deeper understanding of the materials of manifesting. So, what I've done today is I've prepared a very short PowerPoint presentation, and I'm going to talk about different different ideas that have been presented from other master teachers, and then the simplification of helping you to understand the process of manifesting with greater ease. The other thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be talking to you about the moment of alignment. And the moment of alignment is my most recent book. And this is a particular book that gives you the understanding and the process for being aligned, perfectly aligned with whatever it is that you desire. And if you look at the subtitle for this book, The Precise Moment Where Intention Becomes Reality, do you know when that is? Do you know when the precise moment is that your desire becomes a reality? Well, the answer to that question is the precise moment where your desires become reality is when you accept your desires as done, as accomplished, as if they are already in your life. Now, you may be hearing this and thinking, well, how do I do that? Like, exactly how do I do that? How do I accept my desires as if they're already done when there's no evidence of it, when there's no idea of how I'm going to manifest that? And the answer to that question is by effectively using your powerful imagination. We all have imagination, but what you must do is crowd out all other thoughts. Okay, so let's go to the presentation that I've created so that you have a deeper or a better understanding of this process, how it works, and of course, how it can work for you. So if we think about one of the great teachers that I absolutely love, study, and appreciate is a gentleman by the name of Neville Goddard. Now, Neville Goddard is gone from this earthly plane, but he has left us with a lot of his wisdom through his materials, through books, etc. And so Neville Goddard's teaches something called the fourth dimension. And I know there, from webinars that I've done, from live events that I've done, working with clients, sometimes people are confused. What exactly is that fourth dimension? Or what is the fifth dimension? We're going to get to that one as well. So, fourth dimension, the way that Neville Goddard taught is that everything that will ever exist already exists in consciousness. Now, let's think about that for a moment. We now have the ability to fly, and we've actually had the ability to fly for a long time. Now, that idea to create a device called an airplane and have it fly through the airs that would give us the ability to travel at record time prior to the way that it was before was first an idea in someone's mind. Now, we're familiar with the Wright brothers, and it was the Wright brothers that were known to be the first brothers, the two brothers, the Wrights, that initiated a flight. And so that idea was first in consciousness. Think about what we're doing here today. We're on something called YouTube as our vehicle. I'm using something called StreamYard, which is an application and a process. I'm using a laptop computer, which happens to be an Apple MacBook. All of those things, the desk that I have in front of me, the chair that I'm sitting on, the reading glasses that I use, all of them were ideas in someone's mind. That's what Neville Goddard was talking about. Everything that will ever exist already exists in consciousness. So ideas like the way that the world's going to change and the evolution of things to come, like even think about AI and the advent of AI and how AI is really changing things so dramatically in the world. AI was first an idea in the consciousness of man. I'm not talking about a specific man, men. In fact, you may find that you'll see something that's out there in the world, and you may say to yourself, huh, I thought of that, or I had that idea, and then someone else brings it to the world. Why is that? Because everything that will ever exist already exists in consciousness. Do you see what I mean by that? Simple, right? It makes sense. So that's why I want you to understand this. Now, lean in and listen in here. When you get an idea to do something or to create something or to have something, understand this. You have the ability to manifest it, and absolutely true. I think about Eric, who's on the call right now, live with us. Eric is a very serious student of these materials. He's been in my mind conditioning mastery program. He's someone that loves the materials and applies the materials. Now, Eric has an idea to have a particular role. I won't give it away. I'm just going to say, I know what it is. I know what his goals are, or some of his goals are. And Eric absolutely has everything within him to manifest that. Absolutely everything. So the how is what I deliver to people. I simplify things so that they have an understanding, and I explain to people how to manifest, how to create your reality. So imagination is the creative act itself. So you imagine it into being. You see it with your mind's eye, and you make it vividly real to the senses. That's another teaching of Neville Goddard. Vividly real to the senses. And so this is all occurring, manifestation is all occurring in what's called the fourth dimension. It's the realm of imagining it up. Imagine what that feels like. Imagine what you're doing. Imagine what you're touching. Imagine what you're smelling. Absolutely. And so when you assume that it is done, it meaning your goal, when you assume that you already have that which you desire, when you assume that you're already living the life that you love, when you assume that you're already doing the career that you love, you are effectively using your imagination. And this involves consciousness. Now, I'm going to explain a little bit further about why that is so valuable. Okay? Why that is so valuable. I love what Sarah wrote in the chat box. She said, vividly real to the senses. I write it out so I can see it better. Brilliant. I write in a journal every single day. I write the journal as if I'm in the future, but I'm bringing the future into the present. So what I'm writing is active as if it's already here. And I just allow my pen, which is right here beside me, I just allow my pen to guide me. I don't have a predetermined plan for what I'm going to journal every single day. I just allow it to go. And here it is, New Year's Eve, 2025. And this is what's happened. And so this is where you get to bring it to life. Okay, you bring it to life by imagining it as being real. Now, Neville Goddard says you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled brings what's in imagination, which is the fourth dimension, into your present reality. That's what assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled does. That's exactly what it does. Now, let's look at a deeper understanding, or maybe not necessarily deeper understanding, another understanding of how this works. And that's by diving into what Joe Dispenza calls, it's Dr. Joe Dispenza, who wrote several books. And one of his books is Becoming Supernatural. And the other one is called You Are the Placebo. These are two of my favorite books of Joe's. So Joe says that the fifth dimension is beyond time and matter. This is pure energy and pure potential. So let me give you an example of that. Beyond time and matter. So when we're using our imagination and we are going to that place in our mind, but you're actually traveling, traveling into the future, right? So we're here today. It's November 5th at 12:10 on the East Coast. Here today, November 5th, 12:10 East Coast. I have just traveled into the future, into my mind, and I'm in a new scenario. So I brought that into the present by activating it, by giving it my attention. Okay. So that's beyond time, beyond matter. I can't touch it. It's not here physically right now. It's pure energy. Your thoughts are energy. It's also accessing the potential of you and what you can do. Okay. Does that make sense? Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So then he says the unified field responds. That's the universe, okay? The field of energy we're all a part of, to coherent energy and elevated emotion. Okay, let's talk about what is coherent energy and what is elevated emotion. This is really important to understand. Like, I don't know if you've ever watched the other videos or you've read their books or whatever and going, what the hell does that really mean, right? Excuse my language, but what does that really mean? I don't understand what coherent energy. Okay, let me explain that. Coherent energy is this. It's when, let's use Eric as an example, because Eric's here and he loves me using him as an example. He's very willing. Okay, so for Eric to go into his imagination, imagine that he's holding the role that he'd absolutely love, and he's doing it and he's enjoying it, and it's wonderful and it's perfect, and he's so there. And so when he's involved in the full-on imagination process of using his mind and he's connecting to his heart and he's feeling what that feels like, that's coherence, right? Coherence is when you connect your thoughts with your emotions. Okay, so think about this, your head with your heart. That's coherence, right? There's not a conflict going on. In other words, it's not the head saying, yes, 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 this is what I'm doing, but the heart doesn't feel it, right? It's not there, quite there yet, right? That's a disconnect. Now, I want to say this, and I really want to say this with all the love in the world. When you first decide you're going to do something you've never done before, the coherence might not be there like that. Okay. It might be something you have to build. You might have to work on until it gets to a point where, I've got it. Right. It's like you're walking down the hallway and you're smiling because it's like, yes, yes, it is done and it feels good. Right. So you can imagine that up. That's where you get the coherence. Now that takes practice. That's daily living in. It's imagine, not just, as Neville Goddard said, feel the wish fulfilled once. It's doing it often throughout the day so that it becomes your dominant way of being. Okay, that's the coherent energy. Elevated emotion is, let me do this. Let me do it this way. Elevated emotion. What would you be feeling were you to, have whatever it is that you want? What were you to be feeling? Now, some people, when I ask that question, some people will say, I would feel so relieved, right? So what's the elevated emotion? Relief. Now, some people would say, I would feel extreme gratitude, like so much gratitude. Thank you. Thank you. And have you ever had that happen where there was something that you really wanted and then it happened and you're like, oh, thank you, God, or thank you, universe, or just like, like you just feel that sense of, yes, it's done. And that sometimes is a relaxed state, it's a gratitude state, it's an appreciative state, nonetheless, elevated emotion. Okay, there we go. Cloud nine, wonderful, grateful, happy, heaven on earth, and on and on and on. Okay, Eric has just shared with us an example of elevated emotion, right? So that's when you're connecting to your desire in the fifth dimension. So you're creating the result of your desire by being in the frequency of your future self, right? So the version of Eric or the version of Sarah or the version of Sandra or anyone else that's out there that already has that which they desire, what you're doing is you're imagining that you are the person that has that. You are the person that has attracted that. You are the person that has manifested that. That's a version of you. Now, some people might call it a future self, but what you're doing when you're manifesting always is bringing your future desire into the present reality. That's what you're doing. Now, Joe Dispenza says you can't create a new reality with the same energy of the old self. That is a very important understanding. This is why people continue to struggle. They continue to look at their current results. They continue to remain upset, frustrated. They continue to feel the emotions of lack or some other emotion, that fear, worry, doubt, disillusionment, overwhelm, whatever those emotions are. You can't create a new reality. It just doesn't work. Okay. Now, I know it can be hard. I absolutely know that because I've done amazing things in my life and I've accomplished incredible things when it was hard. But I'll tell you something. If you do it or when you do it, when it's hard, wow, you are going to strengthen yourself. You're going to be bringing out a greater and grander version of yourself. I love what Sarah wrote in the chat box. She says, I'm feeling extreme gratitude and it was worth my energy to align to my understanding. I absolutely love that you said that, Sarah, because it's definitely worth it. You know, when I think about how my life has changed in every way, how my life has transformed in every way, and will continue to, by the way, because I have no intention of slowing down or stopping any of the great work that I also do. I apply what I teach. It's not only that I teach this, write about this, guide people through private mentoring, I live it as well. And I am so grateful, just like Sarah, because the more you manifest, the more you create using your energy, it will change you permanently in a very, very positive way. And you'll recognize just how powerful you are. And you'll recognize that there's no limit, absolutely no limit to what you can create. So you must become habitual in your way. Habitual in your way, meaning that you have to be living frequently as that person that has already manifested the desires that you want in your life. So I made this little chart to show you the two ways of thinking from Neville Goddard's perspective and Joe Dispenza's perspective, the fourth dimension and the fifth dimension. So the fourth dimension is the realm of imagination and feeling, according to Neville Goddard, and Joe Dispenza calls it the realm of energy and frequency. Are they different? No, they're saying the same thing. The realm of imagination is feeling is when you're using your imagination to create a feeling which emits energy, which means you're on a frequency. See, they work hand in hand. Same thing, same idea. They're teaching the same thing. Now, what Neville said is time is fluid. Creation begins in consciousness. Now, that's just what Joe Dispenza said too. Beyond time, everything exists as vibration. That's why we can take a future result or future desire and bring it into now, into the present moment. The more you do that, the better it goes. Also, this is why it's important for you to understand that what's happened in the past doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what's happened in the past. You can't do anything about it. What do you have? You have this present moment. That's why I called my book The Moment of Alignment. Now, we're going to talk about the moment of alignment in a minute. We'll bring it home with some teachings from there. Then Neville says you assume the wish fulfilled. Now that's a command. You assume the wish fulfilled. What would you feel like? How would you be thinking were you to have? And then you act as if. Joe says you become the vibration of your desired future. You become the vibration because you're imagining that it's here now. that means you're emitting energy that's on the frequency. You are aligned. And Neville says emotion is the activator of manifestation. When you're feeling grateful for that accomplishment, you are in an emotion that is activating the manifestation. You have to stay there. No coherence between the heart and mind creates the reality. That's what I was talking about earlier. They're linked, right? Our mind, our thoughts, and our heart, how we feel, our thoughts and our feelings when they're aligned, so you're thinking in alignment with your desire, you're thinking and feeling in alignment, you're in coherence. And then Feeling is a Secret is actually the name of one of Neville's book, but it's also a very valuable understanding. What you feel is what you're attracting. And of course, Joe says energy is the language of the universe, which means we attract based on what we're feeling. Doesn't matter what you're saying. That's why I often will say to people, you could be spewing out affirmations all day long. Unless you connect them to the emotion, it's of no value. All right. And that is important that you understand that. So if we look at the moment of alignment and the teachings from my book, The Moment of Alignment, I say that alignment bridges that imagination and the energy. So it's bringing the fourth, fifth dimension into present reality. Why? Because you're aligning with it. When you're in alignment, you are in coherence, right? You're thinking and feeling as if it's already here. You train yourself to do this. Now, reality will respond to your state of being, not your desires. So you could have goals written out on, page after page after page, but unless you're feeling as if they are already yours, you're not going to have them show up as reality in your life. And then the moment of alignment occurs when your thoughts and your feelings are really your vibration that's harmonized and attracting. So when you're in alignment with your desires and you consistently live there, you're living as if it's already done, everything works with absolute magnificence. It is incredible. So I want to wrap this up with giving you some suggestions. First suggestion is make sure you get a copy of The Moment of Alignment if you don't already have one. And if you do have one, study it. Study it every single day. But in order for you to easily manifest, and that's what we talked about at the very beginning of this call today or this session today, is that you live in the frequency of your future self, which means you are the person that has manifested your desires. You're not forcing it. You're not, being frustrated or aggressively going after it. You're not chasing it. You're embodying it. In other words, you are accepting it. So think about these three words: expect, accept, allow. Expect, accept, allow. You may want to write those three words down and remind yourself to do that. Expect your good, accept it as yours, and allow it to unfold. Many people, and I love the allowing part. It's a very important part because so many people are trying to figure it out. In some ways, they think that there's certain way that they have to get there. Quite often, and this is the fun part that I have found about manifesting, quite often and almost always, the way that your manifestations occur in your life is surprising. Quite often, that's the way it is. It's very surprising. And so when someone has, let's say, an audacious goal, a goal that they have no earthly idea how they're ever going to accomplish, and they're using these techniques, techniques that I teach, techniques from the moment of alignment, and they're really embracing this, they're going to manifest their desires. They're absolutely going to manifest their desires by embodying them with regularity. How long it's going to take is however long it's going to take, but just allow it to show up into your life. Now, every moment is an opportunity to tune your energy higher. And this is a great question to ask yourself. Am I aligned right now? Am I really genuinely feeling aligned to my goal right now? Just to check in. The idea behind that question is simply for awareness, never for judgment, never to judge yourself. You see, when we're aware, when we're choosing to be aware and notice when you're not on track, when you're gone completely the opposite direction, when you're perhaps in a destruction mode, and you simply notice it, here's what I would suggest as a response. Be joyful. Be grateful that you noticed it rather than, oh, bummer. Look at you. What are you doing? Rather than getting upset. That solves nothing. In fact, it makes things worse. However, if you will simply notice, oh my goodness, I am not aligned, and you decide, okay, this is great news. Yes, this is wonderful news. I am going to choose, because we have this gift of choice, I am going to choose right now to be aligned with my desire. Now, Neville Goddard suggests this. Ask yourself this question. Now that my dream is in my life, or now that, and you could be specific, now that I have, or now that whatever I'm earning, or whatever, I have my perfect job, or I'm living in my dream home, or now that I'm 100% healthy in every way, how do I feel? This is a perfect way to put yourself back into alignment, coherence, be on that frequency, emit the energy of having that which you desire. You see, you're not becoming. You see, every one of you has the ability to manifest. Every single one of you. My purpose is to help bring out that greater and grander version of you, whether it's Eric or Sarah or Sandra or Kayla or Peggy or whoever. That's why I'm here. That's my purpose. My purpose is to help you become the greater and grander version of who you already are. Why? Because they are in there, because they exist, because you have power, because you can manifest anything that you desire into your life. You can, you have that power. So that's what I really wanted to help you understand today. You know, when I've been studying, I study all the time. This week I've been studying some Neville and some Joe stuff, and I noticed that Neville talks about this fourth dimension and Joe talks about the fifth dimension. And one of my clients said to me, I don't even know what that is. You know, what's the first dimension? What's the second dimension? What's the third dimension? What's the fourth dimension? What's the fifth dimension? And, you know, in reality, we don't even have to understand it. We don't. You don't have to understand it, but you definitely have to apply it. You absolutely have to apply it. There are many people on this planet that are what is known as unconscious competence. Now, we're all competent. We all have the ability if we have a conscious thinking mind. If we have the ability to think, then you're competent. You have that ability. But some people are manifesting without even realizing that they are. Why? Because they're in a habitual way. So what is your habitual way? Is your habitual way constantly aligned with your desire, or is it not? And if not, and if you're hearing this and thinking, you know, I really do need to get better at that, then make a decision that that's what you're going to do. Decide that you're going to do it today and commit to it. And you're going to find that you're going to be manifesting with greater and greater ease. Okay? There we go. I love it. Oh, I love that, Sarah. Sarah says, I'm so happy and grateful for my birthright to manifest my desires and lean on Peggy to aid in the journey. Absolutely. We're all one, right? We're all connected. You know, the fact that I'm here to serve you was the reason why Bob Proctor was there to serve me, or Neville Goddard's there to serve others, or Joe Dispenza's there. It's because we're all connected. But it's like the expression, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. You're ready. Anyone that's watching this and applying what you're learning, you're obviously ready to make some positive change. And you're recognizing, wow, I have the ability to do this. And what I love about what I just shared with you from Sarah is that she said, happy, grateful. Those are elevated emotions. What did we talk about earlier? That's how you manifest. You connect emotionally with feeling the joy or feeling the emotion of what it's like now that you have manifested your desires. Sounds simple, doesn't it? Yeah, it really is simple. It's not that it's complicated. It's not complicated at all. But we have to put it to work. We have to pick up the book and study it and apply what we're learning. And there's a lot of great wisdom in this book. This to me is a book that I wish I would have had many, many years ago. So make sure you get yourself a copy and you study it. Study it intensely because I know you will be very glad that you did when you apply what you're learning. All right, always a pleasure to serve you. I appreciate you being here. I'll be back again. Come on back for our next YouTube Live as I'm going to share with you more about how you can create with greater ease in your life. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful day. Happy manifesting.